You are listening to the Centaku Media podcast, a source for sharing interests beyond the scope of anime because we're in the center of other otaku interests. Hello everyone, this is your host Sanjo of the Centaku Media podcast. This is episode 23 of the Centaku Media Journal Season 2, or rather episode 11 of Season 2, in which is the episode before the season finale, which drops at the end of this month, the last Wednesday of this month. So, for those that are new to the podcast, thank you so much for sticking around this season. And I know there was a weird lull in the middle, or rather kind of early on in the second season with no episodes for like a month and a half, but I'm finally back on track, and there's almost, or rather, a light at the end of the tunnel. So, for those that are new to the podcast, though, you have plenty of time to catch up before Season 3, and I don't know how people take, news. Like, I don't know if they'd rather have it right there and then, or if they're, like, behind on a lot of things, they can listen in and find out, what's going on, especially if they're interested in anime, gaming, and other otaku interests. So definitely, if that's something you are into, please follow along. But being a bi-weekly podcast, a news podcast, though, it's, for me at least, I find that's a good balance because I couldn't do it every week, and actually there's some things I meant to do, but I just couldn't do it, and I had to drop them, for the sake of my own mental health. And I'm also trying to put everything together before the end of the year, like, not just the podcast related, but just everything else in general. So I am level 32 for those that are not in the know, but yeah, so like I'm not unfortunately, like I want to go back in the time of 2011 when things were simple as far as running Centaku May at the time, but things have changed definitely. Like as far as like I had to start over again because we relaunched in 2015 under Centaku Media, but there was a gap between like late 2012, 2013, and then 2015. And even then, there was a little lull until like 2017. But things are looking up now in 2020, definitely. Was something, I had more time to look into since there were things I normally look forward to that wasn't even a possibility due to safety concerns, with everything going on. But now, finally made it into the, I guess, end of the second year of the podcast running, and then there was a little snag there, but, I see things I want to change for the next season, but I'm actually going to save that for the next episode, which will be the season finale, which will be on September 29th. Cross fingers if it launches on time, but if not, oh well. Like, as I said, I need to take care of my own myself, rather, so that's important, but we'll talk about what I plan on doing for the next season in the next episode. But in the meantime, we got some announcements for the Centaku Media community, and it's very small, but we are looking for people to fill in the void, rather the gaps that need to be filled in. So we do have a Discord, so I actually need to get a actual Discord URL link instead of through Discord. So Discord is a directory where you can post your Discord server to, look for people, for those looking for a new Discord server. But I'm actually just going to get its own dedicated URL because I was on the fence on starting a Discord server since the community is so small, like maybe at best 20 people to actually pay attention to it on and off. But there's a lot of you out there that might not know about this. So if you want to like help our community grow, please join our Discord server. So the Discord server is in the description here, and the whatever platform you listen to this on is in the description. So if you want to join the Discord and start, talking, go ahead. It will be very, I'll be very thankful if you do that. I know it sounds like I'm begging, but I'm like trying to be polite about it. Like, I mean, it's 8 o'clock, probably, whatever day I record this intro on. So I'm like, it would be nice if anyone will join, but I know it's going to take time. So I'm working hard. I'm hustling, trying to get back, into the swing of things. And with that said, I'm actually wanting to do more videos. So, speaking of videos, for those that are new to the channel, I say channel, I am talking about YouTube. So, for those that are new to the podcast, there is first half of season 1 rather of the Centaku Media Journal on YouTube, and I uploaded it last year right when season 1 ended, and my intention was to post like half of season 1, and then after we went on hiatus with season 2, like a mid-season hiatus, or we call it whatever that word is I'm looking for to basically mid-season break. Yeah, so when I was going to take a mid-season break, my plan was to upload the last half of season 1, but that hasn't happened yet. But that will soon now, since I'll be almost done with season 2. So if you prefer YouTube for whatever reason, that's also an option. And also, I do plan on uploading more gaming highlights in the future, and I had some in mind, but for some reason, if I say what they're gonna be, it's gonna not happen. I don't know why that is, but I don't know, it works that way. So I'm not going to say what the game is. But speaking of games, so we do have a Twitch channel, so be sure to check us out at twitch.tv/Centaku Media. We're streaming 4 days a week now, of course, except for the last week of the month. Right now we're streaming Shenmue 3 and Persona 5. Shenmue 3 we're almost done with, and I'm thinking of the next game to play. Actually, it might not be a new game right now, but the only way you can keep up is if you follow Centaku Media on our socials, which is Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, and all of them are Centaku Media. So if you're not following us, be sure to do so that way you'll be updated on when the new schedule drops. And also, we are running a giveaway for a $25 Netflix gift card. So if you don't already have a Netflix account, it's an opportunity to get one, but it's also, if you already have a Netflix subscription, this can be an opportunity to get some credit on your account. But for those that are new to Netflix, there are a lot of anime series to check out, and I'm a big fan of Carol and Tuesday, which I've been talking about the last several episodes of the podcast. So that is a Netflix exclusive show, and actually just recently Netflix got Eden Zero and the new Pokemon anime, I think it's Master Journeys, I believe, that also dropped on Netflix recently. And also we have JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Stone Ocean, which drops in December. And lastly, we have a whole lot of Gundam to look forward to. So you got the movie trilogy of the first Mobile Suit Gundam series, and you also have the most recently released Gundam Hathaway, which I also totally recommend. That's something I've been preaching about as well. So there's so much to check out on Netflix as far as anime is concerned, especially some back catalogs as well. So if you are interested in getting a piece of the $25 Netflix gift card, be sure to check out the link in the show notes to that contest. You have until September 24th to enter. It is through Gleam.io. So if you're familiar with that service, then all you gotta do is follow the instructions to be entered into the contest for a chance to win. So good luck to you if you decide to enter. And I hope you enjoy, if you're a new Netflix subscriber, I hope you enjoy what's offered into that. And also, as a disclaimer, Centaku Media is not affiliated with Netflix in any way. It's just me giving back to the community for those that might be interested in expanding their horizons. So good luck to you again, and then I'm trying to see what else is there to talk about. There's so much to talk about. Oh, and one more thing. So there is a Ko-fi, I don't know how it's properly pronounced, but if you want to support Centaku Media in any way, besides subscribing, following on Twitch or whatever, you can pay me for a cup of coffee, which is a minimum payment of $3 one time. If you want to see more, of my content that I put out there, whether it's on a blog, which is on centakumedia.com, by the way, or better, I guess, more motivation for better topics for our special editions of the podcast. And by the way, speaking of which, we do have a special series called the Akari Strain, in which we just had our 3rd episode, which is about the ideal length of an anime series. So I hope you enjoy that episode. It's basically about One Piece. Let's just say that. It's not really all about One Piece, but One Piece has to be a topic in that episode. So you probably have an idea of how that episode is going to go down. But if that's something you are curious about, be sure to give a listen. It's probably the most recent episode before this one when you see it on your podcast service of choice. So that is it for our community news. I feel like I have a lot more, but there's so much going on. And again, one way you can find out is if you follow Centaku Media on our socials, and also be sure to join the Discord for any other updates. But we're going to go ahead and get the episode started, but before we do that, we have a word from our sponsor, and as soon as that's done, we will see you with anime news. Have you always wanted to start your own podcast but don't know where to start? Don't have the right equipment? Don't have a place to host your new podcast? If this is you, then you probably haven't heard of Anchor. It's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain how Anchor works. It's free. There's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more. You can also make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. Welcome back to the Centaku Media Journal, episode 23, or rather season 2, episode 11 of the podcast, and we are going to kick off anime news with a mix of anime and gaming, or rather an anime based on a really popular game series. So this is something I'm actually looking forward to, and actually since I've been so busy, I haven't actually, as of recording this, I haven't been able to check it out myself, but there's a new Pokemon miniseries that's a web-based miniseries that just came out, and it's called Pokemon Evolutions. And for those out of the loop, 2021 marks Pokemon's 25th anniversary, and it's like well underway. I mean, I guess it's been like that all year long, because we're getting the re-releases, or rather the remakes of Diamond and Pearl, and then we get an Arceus early next year, and then I'm pretty sure there's something else I'm missing. Oh yeah, Pokemon Unite came out about a month or two ago. And yeah, there's so much going on with Pokemon, but you also have, apparently Krispy Kreme is doing a collaboration with Pokemon, and basically you get Pokemon-themed donuts. You get your starter, your first-gen starter Pokemon, including Pikachu, and a Pokeball. And Oreo is selling limited edition Oreos, where you get a pack with, I think, if I remember correctly, it's all one Pokemon, like the mostly starters pretty much throughout the whole franchise, and apparently there's like a 1 in a million chance, or I don't know what the odds are, but within one of those dozen of packs that they're selling, they have Mew as one of them, so that would be interesting. I'm going to try to grab one and see if I can get Mew, but I try to avoid Oreos because it's just too fattening, but you know, I'm like, oh, I have to get me in. I just have to remember to be mindful what I eat whenever I add Oreo to my diet. But anyway, Pokemon Evolution. So it is a 8-episode miniseries that is streaming on the Pokemon Company International's YouTube channel, as well as the Pokemon TV app, which actually just launched on the Switch. So if you want some Pokemon in your life on the go or on your TV, you can download it on the Switch as well. So the first episode of Pokemon Evolutions launched on September 9th, and they also revealed the key art and a trailer for it. And so the last Pokemon miniseries, I say this is like a new one because there have been others in the past. So last year we had Pokemon Twilight Wings, which is one of my favorite, and it follows the characters of the Galar region. Like we have the gym leaders, you got Leon, you got Hop, B, like everything character you can think of from Gen 8 is in there. And that was like one of my favorite series because, you know, I'm so into Pokemon Sword and Shield, and like I want to know more about these characters. Like this is the most fun I've had with Pokemon in a long time. And actually at that point I was actually out of the loop of Pokemon, but that's my first entry, my first foray into Pokemon in a very long time. So I'm like really glad that I watched that. So that's my favorite miniseries out of all the miniseries of Pokemon that have been out so far. But Evolutions, what it is, since it's the 25th anniversary of Pokemon, is actually going backwards, starting with the first episode where it starts in Galar, going back to the Kanto region, which is the final episode of the 8-episode series. So they do have a release date and a theme for each episode that starting from September 9th all the way to the final episode on December 23rd, which is 2 days before Christmas, which is kind of fitting. So the first episode is called A Champion, which you can expect, might expect, that is about Leon. So the other episodes I'm out of the loop on, the regions, as far as regions goes, I'm out of the loop on. But the second episode drops on September 23rd, that follows the Alola region, which is called the Eclipse. The third episode drops on October 7th in the Kalos region, called the Visionary. October 21st, in the Unova region, we get the Plan. December 2nd, which is actually, I realize that's a huge gap between October and December. In the Sinnoh region, you get the Rival. December 9th, the Wish in the Hoenn region. This show, which takes place in the Johto region, December 16th, and then the final episode on December 23rd takes place in the Kanto region called The Discovery. And also, I was just talking about being out of the loop of Pokemon, and I know there was one series I was actually looking forward to, but I actually never got around to watching it. And I think it's available online, but, so starting from the beginning, there was Pokemon The Origin, which I know, apparently a lot of origin stories of very popular series are, a huge hit. So yeah, there was Pocket Monsters The Origin, which, it was a 4-episode television anime, from 2013 that told the story of the first-gen games, which is, Pokemon Red and Green, or Blue, as we call it here in North America. But there was also another series that's after Origin and before Twilight Wings called Pokemon Generations, which was a series of 3 to 5 minute animated shorts that launched on a YouTube channel in September 2016, which covered the first and 6th generations of Pokemon games. So, if you are hungry for more Pokemon miniseries like that, then you have those options as well. But I totally recommend Twilight Wings, and I did do a play-by-play of each single episode of Twilight Wings, which you can read on Centaku Media. The link is in the show notes for those that are curious as to what it's about. The show notes is located on centakumedia.com. The link is in the description where you can check it out on the website. So, that is it for Pokemon Evolutions. And the next one, again, is another popular franchise I'm crazy about, and that's Gundam. And I actually talked about this in the intro, about all the anime series you can watch on Netflix if you enter for a chance to win a $25 Netflix gift card, which ends on September 24th if you are curious. The anime in question, Gundam, the second working title has been revealed. And, it's a working title, so it's very likely not final. But the title we have so far is called Son of Bright, or Son of Bright. So, the katakana, I think I pronounced that right, the katakana, basically the capital, I don't know how the best way to describe the katakana, hiragana, but it says San, S-A-N, which is how you pronounce it, and then you got Ob Bright. So, for those out of the loop of Gundam, so Hathaway is the son of Bright Noah, who is another popular character in the original Universal Century era timelines dating back to the very first Gundam series. And Bright Noah will make his appearance in the second film. And they also mentioned that it will be a little different from the novel, which I'm kind of like, should I be happy? Or should I be worried? Probably mostly worried, because I did not expect, when I got really into Gundam about 2 decades ago, and I figured we're probably in a position where we're never ever going to see Hathaway's Flash, because it was a novel, right? Launched back in 1989, and since it was a novel, I was thinking, oh, there's probably no market for novels like that. So I actually took it upon myself to read the spoilers. Like I actually did an episode about avoiding spoilers and how it's a pet peeve that a lot of people have, including myself. But I'm like, you know what? Let's do it. Let's find out what happens in Hathaway's Flash. And when I read, I'm like, I was shocked. So I'm not gonna spoil it, of course. But I'm guessing anything can be shocking, whatever spoilers you read for whatever platform or medium, whatever that you enjoy. But yeah. So anyway, the title is Son of Bright. It might be the Son of Bright, which is S-U-N, and not necessarily S-O-N, but it could be a play on word as well. It might be Son of Bright, S-U-N, Son of Bright. And also they mentioned that Ken Narita is going to be voicing Bright in the upcoming sequel, the second installment of Hathaway, because the original voice actor, and unfortunately I don't have his name with me, but the original voice actor from Bright from the original Mobile Suit Gundam passed away I think in 2006. So he is the current voice actor for Bright Noah. So again, Gundam is my thing as well, so don't be surprised if I talk about it, as soon as the episode launches, or rather when we get new information about it. So stay tuned if you are itching for more Gundam. And the next story, and actually I kind of hinted at this in the intro about an episode I did that was actually indirectly about One Piece. So next story is that One Piece, the end is in sight. According to the manga-ka Eiichiro Oda, he says that the story is in a final stage. So, One Piece really recently had a huge milestone, as they finally had over, I think, 1,000 episodes. And that's kind of, perfect timing since, I was talking about the episode, because the episode's actually recorded like a couple of months ago, so at the time I wasn't even near it. But yeah, One Piece finally got to 1,000 episodes, and there's also a 100th compiled book volume of the manga. And apparently there was a newspaper advertisement as well in the Asahi Shimbun. And then it was also published in the Yomiuri Shimbun and Mainichi Shimbun on Friday, as of this article, according to Anime News Network. And it included a photo of Oda drawing at his workshop with the words, "The story is in a final stage." But he also said in the interview, Oda said in August of 2020 that he plans to end the story in 4 to 5 years. So technically it's been 1 year since he said that. So 3-4 more years at best. So let's see. The franchise's official YouTube channel also stream a special live stream event called Konohoshi de Kiba o Mio, We Are One, or Let's See Hope on This Planet special, featuring JAXA astronaut Akihiko Hoshide live from the International Space Station. And also there's a One Piece fan and entertainer Miki Kumi Sasaki of Hinantasaka 46, which is, I guess, in one form or another, kind of like AKB 48. That's another story for another day. And announcer Misato Ugaki. So the 100th compiled volume already launched. And so, just for those out of the loop, so One Piece has been running since July 19th, 1997. So, and on the 6th and 7th volume also had a first printing of 4.5 million copies, which is a new national industry record that was set in August of 2012. So congratulations to Eiichiro Oda for another milestone, for 2 milestones. So also congratulations to One Piece fans, and that begs a question: is it now a good time to watch One Piece? How long will it take to get caught up to One Piece? That is answered in the most recent episode of the Akari Strain, so be sure to check it out. Anyway, yeah, same with self plug. So anyway, I wasn't done with Gundam. I probably should have segued into this next story, which is the last anime news story here. So on Funimation streaming service, they added Gundam Wing, Gundam NT, and the Origin, and also Seta Gundam. So Funimation has more Gundam series, and I have a feeling that at some point Funimation is going to be the go-to for all Gundam, which I have no problem with that, because Gundam needs more love, because I've been very vocal about Gundam for a long time, even on my blog. And actually, the other day I was going through my old database of blog posts. I was originally on Centaku Media, and there were some posts that was in the table, the WP table spreadsheet, or whatever it's called. But I still have those blog posts, and I actually do plan on republishing them in the future, just to see how far we've come. So, but in addition to the original, where I'm going with this, it's probably not going to be edited out. It's probably impossible. But I guess what I'm trying to say is that in addition to those announcements, they also have the original Gundam series and Iron Blooded Orphans on Funimation. So you got at least 4 more series to add to that. So again, it looks like eventually Funimation is going to be the go-to hub for Gundam. So like I said, I'm all for it. So I hope that happens in the future. And also, we talked about this not too long ago, but Funimation is actually officially a part of Crunchyroll now. So there might be a fusion between the two at some point. I don't know, but that's the time will tell until we find out whether, one or the other is going to be a thing coming up. So that is it for anime news. And with that said, we're going to actually go into a news story that's actually a game, but it has very heavy inspiration on anime themes. So to kick off our gaming news, we are going to talk about Genshin Impact. So it's coming this September 28th. It will have been out for a year. And at this point, I'm like, what is this game about? Like, I don't understand. I heard that it was a mobile game, but however, it's available on the PS4 and the, trying to see what other platforms is it on. Okay, so it's on iOS, it's on Android, it is on PlayStation, but it's on Xbox. I don't know. Probably not, but it is multi-platform almost, because there is actually a Switch version in development. But like I said, we don't know when that will be out. But the fact that it's going to be a Switch version is going to be lit. But with the upcoming anniversary, the company is, I believe, it's a Chinese company. So it's called, I think, it looks like it's spelled MiHoYo, but I think it's MiHoYo. So I want to try my best at pronouncing it that way. So, Genshin Impact launched on September 28th, 2020, and MiHoYo announced a 1-year anniversary fan creations event filled with contests and people who contribute in different areas throughout September can earn Primo Gems and merchandise. And Primo Gems, I think, is basically currency, in-game currency of Genshin Impact. And, like I said, if you contribute with fan-made guides and photos, and then you can also add fan art, video, and cosplay divisions. Anything that celebrates Genshin Impact, they're looking for this contest. And they say there's 2 events, which it started on September 1st, involves guides and photos, and the guides can be submitted until October 9th, 2021, and can focus on offering any kind of in-game help. 5 gold winners will get 6,000 Primo Gems and the Catching Driving Thunder mechanical keyboard. 10 silver winners will get 2,000 Primo Gems, a Trick or Treat party merchandise set, and a character portrait series epoxy metal hangable. Finally, the 20 bronze winner will get 1,000 Primo Gems and a Faithful Gift Series merchandise set. People have until October 11th, 2021 to turn photos in. 5 people will get 1,000 Primo Gems, all of the Paimon food-themed blind box figures. By the way, Paimon is my favorite character in the game. I'm going to talk a little bit about Genshin. I'm trying to save it. Let me get through this first. 10 people will each get 500 Primo Gems and a trick-or-treat party-themed merchandise set. 50 people will get 1 month of Discord Nitro, which is basically a Discord premium service, where you can get little perks compared to, I guess an level up from what you normally get on a basic Discord membership. And also the Genshin Impact fan art and video contest began on September 16th, 2021 and run until October 17th. So they haven't revealed the rewards for that contest. So the final part of the 1 year anniversary creations event will be the cosplay contest that will run from September 22nd until October 20th. So no rewards yet, so stay tuned for when that will be up. But by the time that happens, the podcast, the journal part of the podcast will be on hiatus. So that's something for you to seek out at your own time. But of course, I will share it on Centaku Media socials. So be sure to check that out if you're curious about the contest. And moving on from Genshin Impact news, and I was actually, before I do that, I was saying that I actually started playing Genshin Impact. So I was trying to actually get on with the news story. But I've actually been playing Genshin on our Twitch channel, and I actually really enjoy it. And I see why everyone likes it so much, because it actually reminds me of Breath of the Wild. And I actually played a little bit of Breath of the Wild, and I actually feel bad because I actually put more time in Genshin than I have Breath of the Wild. I was originally going to play Breath of the Wild for another project, but I had to put it on hold because, there's just so much going on. So I'll play that another time. And again, I feel bad because it's a Zelda game, and I love me some Zelda. And I need to play that and the Skyward Sword HD remaster. So I got quite a bit of Zelda to catch up on, but Genshin in particular, I really enjoy it. And I see why. It's a free game, but of course it's one of those games with microtransactions too. So you have to, if you want the character you want, you gotta, pay to get what you want. So, but it's an interesting story, and apparently it's based on Chinese mythology. Like there's some, it's a Chinese-made game, so there's actually some elements of Chinese culture into it, from what I understand. But if you want to see me play through it, be sure to check out the Twitch channel. I normally stream it on Mondays, but of course, right now there's a couple of games I'm trying to finish up, so I might not stream it every time, but I'm going to try to find room for it if I have to. So be sure to check out the Twitch channel, which is twitch.tv/Centaku Media. And moving on officially to the next news story, we are going to talk about a law that I actually talked about in the last episode. So in the last episode, I talked about Korea was pretty much abolishing what they call the Cinderella Law. And what that is it limits minors under 18 how many times, or rather how much they can play a game in a single day. And normally it was limited to weekends, during the week they can't play it no more than 3 hours or something like that. I don't have the exact time frame on what that is, but they basically got rid of the law in South Korea. But I said South Korea. I had to reiterate because people are going to say, which Korea? Because when you think about it, in North Korea, they might not even allow video games. But in South Korea, I feel like they're going in a step in the right direction by abolishing it. But I think there's still some limitations to it, but it's not as bad as it was. And if anything, it's actually more lax compared to what they, it's much more lax now compared to what they had in place originally. So, I think that was a step in the right direction. But the country next door to them, China, in particular, it's like they actually made it worse. So there's a new rule introduced by the National Press Publication and Administration, or NPPA, which is China's online watchdog, in order to curb what they call a gaming addiction among young people, quote unquote. So Of course, this is the government's thoughts as well. Of course, Chinese government, it's interesting. Chinese government is interesting. But this rule cuts back on the time for those under 18 on how much they can play games over a weekend, with only 1 hour from Friday through Sunday. And it also includes public holidays. So that means kids, for most of the year, will be allowed a maximum of 3 hours per week. The South China Morning Post reported that the rule was first published in state media outlet Xinhua, where a government spokesperson said many parents have said that the gaming addiction problem among teens and children has gravely affected their ability to learn and study, as well as their physical and mental health, even causing a series of societal problems. Enforcement of this rule is going to be left to China's gaming companies like Tencent and NetEase, who are being asked to, quote-unquote, strictly implement registration and login systems that require the use of a player's real name. Tencent, for its part, has already said that it supports a new regulation and will implement these requirements as soon as possible. And, of course, this move comes after a succession of a similar list of fear measures have obviously proven ineffective by whatever metric or agenda the Chinese government is trying to hit. So apparently, in 2019, kids were banned from playing games after 10 p.m. and had their microtransaction spending curtailed, and also limiting their playtime to 90 minutes a day and 3 hours on holidays. And also, apparently, this rule comes to effect weeks after the government media in China labeled video games as a quote-unquote spiritual opium, in a story published and deleted by the Economic Information Daily. But because of that, apparently, Tencent stock took a tumble because of that. So, yeah, interesting. So, basically, kids are not allowed to play video games because it's an issue. There's going to be, very many opportunities for gaming, and I was talking about Genshin Impact, that it's a Chinese game, and they're a different company out of the other companies you see here. So I'm really curious as to how MiHoYo is holding up compared to Tencent and NetEase. And Tencent in particular, they're like the biggest gaming company in the world, I guess. I don't know if that's would be an exaggeration, but even like game companies here in the US, they do have like a share, or rather Tencent. Basically, they do have like some kind of a partnership with Tencent. So I think Blizzard in particular, they have a sponsorship or agreement with Tencent. So that's why back a couple of years ago, I think it was in 2019, during that whole controversy with the whole Hong Kong mandate thing between China, they banned that player Bliss Chung because he spoke out about the Hong Kong, about, that needs to be a democracy. And Blizzard has a rule in place where, you can't say anything political, but apparently you go around, apparently someone said something positive about, POTUS 45, and they haven't batted an eye at it, but if you say something about China, it's a no-no. So just think about that. So, Blizzard's kind of like a dumpster fire anyway, as I've talked about in the last few episodes. So I think they've kind of like, I don't know, I think they've had enough damage done to their own brand. But anyway, this whole game time limiting thing, this is actually inspired by a post I made on Twitter a few weeks back about let's say growing up. So this actually is a personal story, and I actually kind of shared it as a little bit of a motivator because I actually thought better of it. Like, okay, this was ridiculous back then, and it's kind of ridiculous now to even implement it because of how long games are now. But in a tweet, I basically said that if your parents impose a limit on your game time to 30 minutes or less, they probably were trying to keep you from being burnt out from doing other things that you enjoy. So that is, I thought better of it. And yeah, that actually makes sense. Actually, I thought better of a iffy situation growing up. So my mom actually impose a limit of my game time to 15 minutes. She'll be nice and let me limit it to like 30 minutes, but no, 15 minutes a day. I think she'll let me play twice a day, but no, 15 minutes. Again, this was during the Genesis era. This was during the Genesis era where, it was easy to do that. It was easy to get away playing for 15 minutes. But as the years went on, it was impossible to keep it within that time frame because eventually you had to play no more than 30 minutes. The 30 minutes is to get everything done, and then an hour, and then 2 hours. And then it's just like, okay, we need to get as much done as we can, be satisfied. Because it actually kind of started with Metal Gear Solid. And Metal Gear Solid was actually a game I played religiously when I was young. And my mom was annoyed that I had to play it, for so long. And she said, weren't you supposed to be done 45 minutes ago? And I'm like, well, I can't because this guy is giving a very thrilling monologue. And the person that comes to mind was actually Liquid Snake. So you probably know that one scene I'm talking about towards the end of the game. It was him that was talking when my mom asked this question. But again, I couldn't pause it at the time. I mean, I could pause it, but I had to wait till the dialogue. And I was actually new to the game at the time, so I didn't want to skip it and miss out on having, listen to that dialogue and having to go back to it again. But nowadays, taking Final Fantasy XIV in particular. Oh my gosh. So 14, at least they'll warn you that if you come across a very long cutscene, it warns you that you need to set aside time to watch these in, succession. So you gotta get props to them for actually warning you. But even there's actually scenes that don't even warn you that's actually 20 minutes long, so it doesn't matter. So you still have to basically play where you have nothing else to do for that day. And if I was the age I was now playing 14, I would never ever make the progress I've made so far, in which I've caught up to end of Stormblood and all. Not Stormblood, but I keep saying that. I guess because it starts with SB, but no, Shadowbringers. I got up with all the Shadowbringers. I'm ready for Endwalker. So, if I was that age now playing Shadowbringers, I will probably still be on either a Heavensward or Stormblood. But considering how much I've played over the past 5 years, I think I got an account in 2015. I think so. I had an account for 6 years on 14. So, but yeah, that's impossible to play, have a 15-minute limit on games. Unless it's a mobile game, you can probably limit it, but if it's a game, again, 14, Fortnite, I think you can get away with 15 minutes, but there are a lot of games now you can't play for 15 minutes. But that's just what's reminded me of. I just remember, how that was limiting compared to this, but that's even more limited because of that. And again, I know that, I was being looked after, But again, like I said, I took a good situation. I took an iffy situation into a bad one. I hope that will inspire people because, now that I'm, old enough now, I'm kind of annoyed that I don't get enough time for gaming anymore, but I actually turned that into streaming. So I actually stream the game. So I might as well, stream for an audience of the games I'm trying to catch up on after all these years. And Shenmue series in particular is one of them. So I didn't get to play the second one. Finally got to play the third one. So anyway, that is it. I'm for that news story. Sorry I ramble on, but I hope you enjoy these. So I don't really need to apologize, but again, I know I'm somewhat off topic, but we're actually going to get back on topic, and it's actually a topic I've talked about last year for a game that I thought was going to be another Final Fantasy game. So remember the game Project Athia that was teased last year? I think it was for Tokyo Game Show. So it was called Project Athia, and I said, you know what? It's probably Final Fantasy 16 or 17. No, so it turned out that wasn't the case because it is actually run by the same company that the producer or director of Final Fantasy 15 founded Luminous Productions. But no, that's not the game we were looking for. But it's actually a game called Forspoken. So I don't know if I actually talked about it in an episode afterwards, but the game is actually, I think the story of the game is written by a guy that written a novel, and I think he did like a couple of TV shows as well. I forget the name. I don't have the article pulled up, but he is, I guess, mostly involved with this game for Spoken. So the main character in the game is Frey Holland, and it was revealed during the PlayStation Showcase recently. It was one of the most anticipated games for the PlayStation 5. But the trailer was posted during the event. I actually haven't seen it yet because it's like, looking at it, it's like, it's a kind of game I'm probably not interested in. It's actually more of a Western looking game. But, I mean, I think it is a Western based game. And it's a Square Enix game, mind you. So, I'm like, that confuses the heck out of me because when you think of Square Enix, you think of Final Fantasy. But, I think this might be somewhat a mix of Eidos and Square Enix. But it's apparently from what is described as an open world game, and from what the article I have this pulled from, we see the character Frey. She's meeting people in the world, and she has to face someone by the name of Sylar. I wonder if it's the same Sylar from My Heroes. I don't know, my mind went nerdy right there for a minute. But apparently she comes across another woman sitting on a throne, and apparently it's safe to look at. I mean, from what is said, it doesn't seem to spoil anything, but depending on how you see it, it might not spoil anything, even if it's spoilery. So if you're curious to what it's about, be sure to check the trailer and the show notes on centakumedia.com for episode 23 of the podcast. And keep moving on to our last piece of news story for gaming. So, this is one that's interesting, and I had to talk about it because I'm actually somewhat excited about it, but I'm keeping my expectations low. So, so apparently back in 2012, there's a man by the name of Yuta Ueda who worked at Sega. He was the art director for both Jet Set Radio games. He was the artist, actually. Yeah, he was an artist. He designed the cover art for both Jet Set Radio and Jet Set Radio Future. But he was also the director of Yakuza, the first Yakuza game. I think it was the first two games, I believe. Yes, it was the first two games. So he left the company in 2012. And apparently he was working at Yahoo. I guess Yahoo Japan, working with mobile titles. And the last game he released under Sega was Sonic and All-Stars Racing Transformed. About a decade ago. But apparently he's coming back to Sega. And right now, the timing apparently is kind of coincidental because the creator of Yakuza, Toshihiro Nagoshi, is leaving Sega to join NetEase, which I was just talking about a couple of news stories ago. But Ueda, in particular, considering he was an art director for Jet Set Radio, you have to wonder if they're like, it's like Sega saying, please, you need to come back. You need to help us. Because between Shenmue and probably a couple other Sega games I can think of, Jet Set Radio is like the biggest series that's hurting for another installment. So we finally got a re-release of Jet Set Radio years ago, right? But we have yet to get a re-release of Jet Set Radio Future. But you gotta consider that there's like two games in the pipe. That's two. Well, okay, so one is actually one game currently exists, and another one is coming, and I forget the name of that game. But these two games are identical to Jet Set Radio Future. Because, basically you skate around in the future, graffiti tagging, everything in sight. And it's like Sega say, you know what? We need you back, please. Come back, Ueda. Please. So that sounds like what's going on, because something comes to mind several years ago. So Jet Set Radio, this revival might be kind of similar to the revival of Toonami, because the guy that's involved with Adult Swim, I think it's Jason DeMarco. He originally had the idea for Toonami, and then he left Cartoon Network like in end of the like late 2000s, mid 2000s or something. I think that's kind of when Toonami went downhill. But he came back, and about a few months later, they announced that, hey, Toonami's coming back. So it's very likely he was involved with it. So the thing about it, Ueda's return to Sega might signal a return to Jet Set Radio, considering he was the art director. But he was also involved with the Panzer Dragoon series, which was the second one, Sway, Panzer Dragoon Saga, and Orta, and some of the Sonic and Sega All-Stars Racing games. So, interesting. And also, there's another game called Rise of Nightmare. So, I don't know. Maybe he will maybe his return may signal something. Like I say, we have to keep an eye on this. So, I will keep you all posted if there's another Jet Set Radio game in the works. So, that is it for gaming news. And of course, we come to our last segment of the episode, which we talk about entertainment and interest, a mix of entertainment and something unusual, I guess, that falls out of the category of anime and gaming, or might include it. I don't know. It depends on how much room I had left when I talked about anime and gaming. I just had to find something interesting and put it somewhere. So technically, it can be leftovers, but we will see what they are about. Alright, so to kick off our last segment of the Centaku Media Journal, episode 23, we are going to talk about a streaming service. Again, I guess I could have talked about an anime, but it actually covers kind of every little other geek outlet too. I mean, not just anime, but there's also other things involved, not necessarily anime related, but again, like I said, it's kind of relevant in that regard. But so we were talking a bit about this in the episode, and it was big news a couple episodes back. So Funimation owns Crunchyroll now, or vice versa. I don't know, but anyway, back in about a year or two ago, they had a partnership with Crunchyroll. Funimation had a partnership with Crunchyroll, but it ended. So as a result, their Crunchyroll's other streaming service, Ferv, they had Funimation, Drama Fever before they shut down, and several other like little platforms that were on this a la carte service, on the Ferv a la carte service. With they bundled their services together basically, but a lot of it they were like Nickelodeon related, and a lot of that went to HBO Max. So pretty much all that's left. It's just Crunchyroll, Rooster Teeth. I think it was Mondo or something. I don't know. There's like not really much left. But in addition to Crunchyroll, you also had High Dive, which is, I guess they're more for titles under Sentai Filmworks. So you have that under Ferv. So you have like basically two options for anime on one place. Unfortunately, High Dive will be no more on Ferv. And that was actually what I was afraid of when this merger took place. So Ferv announced that they will be separating from Ferv. High Dive will be separating from Ferv on September 30th because of this. But they also said that they are inviting people who previously watched High Dive on Ferv to sign up for a Ferv subscription, which is not bad. You basically paying, at this point, you're going to be paying for two separate services. So, in my situation, since I already have a Ferv subscription, I'm only going to be basically paying for Crunchyroll, so I basically have to cancel my Ferv subscription, pay for Crunchyroll, and pay for High Dive. So, like, what's the point of paying for this? That is, if you watch anything else on Ferv besides Crunchyroll, then, you're good, but I actually like the idea that you can watch High Dive titles on there, and a lot of the stuff I have on my watch list on Ferv, I'm gonna have to basically transfer it to any list, so that way I can catch up with it when I actually get on High Dive. But you have until September 30th to watch up whatever you have through Ferv before you have to sign up for High Dive. So yeah, so that was actually right after, I guess it's right after the whole partnership with Funimation ended in 2018, which is when High Dive joined the Ferv lineup in November of that year. But that's really unfortunate, but I have this feeling I wonder if Ferv is even going to be a thing in the next year because of the whole merger with Funimation. So we'll see what happens. So moving on to some music news, we have some that's actually kind of worrying for those, especially for those that are fans of Gakuto Oshiro, which is his real name. I didn't know that. I don't really pay much attention to him, but come to find out, he has, as of this past week, he's going on hiatus, due to a life-threatening condition. It's an early onset of a neurological disease that's progressing into a life-threatening condition and resulting in dysphonia, which is a disorder of the voice. And so he is pursuing his treatment to resume activity as soon as possible. And he also says that he's been feeling unwell shortly after returning to Japan on August 6th. And they say he primarily lives overseas in various homes in Southeast Asia, but he's also been ill and losing weight for a couple of months. But he said his condition is stable, but examination has confirmed that Gakuto is unfit to work, and he plans to return overseas to consult with his personal doctor. So that is very worrying, and it says it's early onset, so it's it can go either way. But I wish Gak the very best in recovery, and I hope that he'll be able to return to his activities as soon as possible. He was very active on Twitter, but I guess because of that, he only has his apparently he has to, at one point he had it to where his tweets were protected because apparently he would tweet suggestive, I guess it's kind of a troll attempt. Some things he'll say, it comes off as kind of suggestive, but I think he's trolling a lot of people. So I guess because of that, he has to put his tweets, has to protect his tweets. But no, it seems like he has a very interesting sense of humor. But I really, hope that he pulls through and returns to work very soon. So that's it for that news. And our last story, I know this week is kind of short on interest news, but this one in particular is actually very interesting. So this next news story is about a new, well, not really new, the concept is not new, but it was a new show called Loud. And what it is a K-pop survival show. And by a K-pop survival show, you have idol trainees from, either they were from an independent company or actually from a large company that decided, I want to get my name out there, so they'll go on these shows to try and get into a group, right? Of course, you had Produce 101, which had us, bought us IOI, and then you had 101 for the second season, and then you had Is One recently, which finally disbanded. But Loud, in particular, the concept was actually thought of by JYP, which is Park Jin-young, who's, a singer himself, but he's also the founder and president. I think he's still president or CEO of JYP Entertainment, and you also have Psy's new label, PNATION. And between the two of them, they're looking for members of their their respective boy groups. So, I guess some examples of these shows in the past that actually, born us, I guess if that's the right word, born us idols, or rather, that bought us idols, or bands in particular that we all know and love today. So we have Monster X. They were originally on a show called No Mercy. In Winner and Icon, they were actually on Win Who Is Next, and I believe it was another show as well besides Win. But of course, Winner came from Winner. And then Icon, they were also the runners up on that show, but they eventually got a debut anyway. And then also you have apparently Big Bang. They had a reality show right before their official debut, and Hung Sung from, well, at the time it was Beast, or now Highlight. He was supposed to be the sixth member of Big Bang, but he actually ended up being in Beast. So, but those are the examples of reality shows in the past. So let's see if we get the next big thing between the two new groups that were formed as they finally picked the members of their next boy band. So JYP's upcoming boy band will consist of 5 members, and PNATION's boy band will consist of 7 members. And of course, I'm getting old, so a lot of these are actually skewing younger and younger every time. And so, in order for JYP's team, we have Yunmin, who is 20 years old, Lee Gyun-hyun, who is 17 years of age, Amaru, who's 15, not Amuro, but Amaru, which I know is kind of close to Amuro. You have Lee Dong-hyun, who is 14, and Keiju, who is 14. And for PNATION, we have Woo Kyung-jun, who is 19, Choi Tae-hoon, 19, Jung Hyun-soo, 17, Yeon-hui, 16, Chon Jun-hyuk, 16, Oh Sung-jun, 16, and the last member, who is Tanaka Goki. He is 12 years old. Yes, that's not a typo. He's actually 12 years old, and there are actually pictures of each member that were selected to be in the final group. And he's just a baby, so I know there's going to be like mixed reactions to his selection, but I'm guessing, they have something in mind. Because I guess the average age of this group is like 18, I guess, or 19 or 17. It's kind of like split, apparently. So I'm sure Goki, come like 5 years from now, he'll be, depending on whatever happens to PNATION's group, he'll be the run-in for being in the next K-pop group. I hate to say it like that, but that's kind of the way it is, because I've actually been watching some videos, and some I'm actually going to write a blog post about. That you can check out centakumedia.com. So there's this YouTuber I watch who goes by the name of Ploopy678, and she does videos about whatever happened to that K-pop group, and they're very entertaining. I recommend you checking out her channel. It's I think it's called Annoyed Zero as the channel name and the URL, but it's Ploopy167. She goes by Evangeline Pang, and like I said, I totally recommend her videos. But she did a story video on a K-pop idol that's been struggling for 10 years. And she was like in 5 different groups before she said, you know what, screw it, I'm just going to do what I can to support myself. I think I've put my, best foot out there, so like all I could do is just provide my, talents another way. So, like, this probably what's going to, like, I don't know, like, it's a big K-pop world out there, so who knows what's going to happen to these people. So I'm sure, hopefully they'll have clean careers and not have a scandal, like, almost with every single group that's, come and gone. So there's always something, but I really hope, I really wish for the very best between the two groups, for JYP and PNATION. And if you're curious as to what the performance is like, I do have linked their performances from the whatever network it's on. I think it's SBS. Yes, SBS. On their official YouTube channel, they do have clips of their performances between the two, JYP and PNATION. So be sure to check that out in the show notes, which you can view on centakumedia.com, and you can get the link to that show note in particular in the description in this episode. And with that said, I am going to close out the Centaku Media Journal episode 23. Thank you for listening, and I hope you tune in again, especially for our season finale, the next episode. I don't know what I have planned. I might just do a normal episode and reminisce, maybe at the beginning of the next season. I don't know. But it's been one interesting year, and again, thank you for sticking around this long. And if you're new, I hope you stick around for third season. And again, if you want to catch up on what you've missed in the past 2 seasons, especially when it comes to anime, gaming, and other otaku interests, be sure to check out Season 1 and also the beginnings of Season 2 as well. And they'll eventually be on YouTube, so right now you can watch the first half of Season 1 on YouTube as well. Or rather, listen. It's not really much to watch, but it's basically formatted for you to listen to, if that makes sense. But I thank you all so much for supporting us. And again, you can follow Centaku Media on the socials, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Centaku Media. And also don't forget to watch our Twitch channel, which is twitch.tv/Centaku Media. And also don't forget the contest where you can win a $25 Netflix gift card, which ends on September 24th. Be sure to check out the link to that as well. And again, be sure to check out the 3rd episode of the Akari Strain, which you can check out before this episode. And again, to keep up with more news, be sure to also subscribe to the newsletter, which is on centakumedia.com, where you get posts on as soon as I write new content, as well as you'll be the first to get show notes for this episode as well. And that way you can be notified of when new episodes drop for the podcast. So again, thank you for listening, and until next time, so long.